Over the last 5 years, my team and I have helped dozens of e-commerce brands scale to 10 million per year and beyond. Here's just one of our clients. You can see here last year they did over $9.43 million in revenue. We actually helped them scale from 1 million per year to over $9 million per year in revenue. And here's another example of a brand that we helped scale from 400K per year to 4 million per year in revenue, a 10x increase in annual revenue. And the thing that separates the brands that get there versus the brands that stay stuck at 7 figures is not just one thing. It is multiple interlocking systems that compound on each other. And you must nail every single one of them to hit 8 figures. Because what happens with most brands is that maybe they're spending all their energy on ads, but then they're forgetting retention. Or they have great products, but their conversion funnel is leaking money. Or they're growing revenue, but they're becoming less profitable the bigger they get. So in this video, I'll literally give you everything you need to put in place to hit $10 million per year in revenue. It will be a full course covering how to build a customer acquisition machine that consistently produces winning ads, how to convert that traffic at a higher rate, how to maximize the lifetime value of every single customer that you acquire, and how to make sure you are actually profitable as you scale and that you're not just growing revenue. This is the most value-packed video I've ever recorded. But if at any point going through this video you think that you'd rather have a team come in and do all of this for you, you can click the first link in the description. Let's dive in. Part 1 of this course is building your customer acquisition engine. If you are doing at least 7 figures per year in revenue, your number one bottleneck on the acquisition side is almost always ad creative. You have an offer that works, a product that works, it's proven. Now you just need to find more winning ad creatives on a consistent basis. And the problem that most brand owners face is that they struggle to produce winning ads on a consistent basis. Maybe now or even in the past, you have one winning ad that is driving the account, spending the majority of the budget, which is fine, but it creates a lot of risk because you don't know when that ad is going to stop working and you don't have another ad to take its place when it does. What if instead you could produce 3, 4, 5 winning ads every single week? The reason most brands can't do this is because they do not have a process. We used to be the guys that mashed ads together randomly. We would test them, and if they worked, great. And if they didn't, we would discard them and move on to the next one. That wastes time, energy, and money. And trust me, it does not make the process of scaling on Facebook ads consistent. So what changed for us was building a performance creative process. The creative optimization cycle, which is a system that allows you to be more consistent at producing winning ads that can scale on Facebook over time. And just to show you an example here of what that leads to, on my screen here I have a graph of one of our clients on Meta. You can see here back in September of last year, we were getting around a 1x ROAS in platform. Then as we started to roll out a more robust creative optimization cycle, the ROAS started improving. But not just that, it started improving as we doubled the ad spend. So you can see here that the ROAS is gradually increasing. And now we're averaging a 2x in-platform ROAS. That's a double in the ROAS while we also double the ad spend. And once you have a system like this in place that I'm about to show you, it becomes a lot more predictable to find winning ads, and then you can actually double your ad spend, triple your ad spend, while increasing the performance at the same time. Now, let's take a step back because all of this starts with research. The research is probably the thing we spend the most time on before we actually create any ads. That is how important it is, because if your research is off, your angles are off, your script is off, and your ads just don't land. So where do you actually go to do this research? There's many places to find valuable insights you can use for your research. Some examples are mining your reviews on your own product pages. You also want to mine reviews on your competitor pages. And then you're also going to want to mine reviews on Amazon. And then you're also going to want to mine reviews of competitors on Amazon. You also want to go through Reddit threads, TikTok comments, Facebook groups. And what you are looking for while doing this research is the language and the words that your customers use to describe their problems. How are they describing their frustrations? And what do they wish their life looked like if only they could solve this problem? Now, from that research, you want to identify 1 or 2 core desires that your customers have. And when doing this, I would actually reference the Life Force 8 desires. And these are 8 core desires that we have hardwired into our brains as humans. These are things like the survival and enjoyment of life, wanting to live longer. There are things like wanting to be attractive to the opposite sex. It's also things like the desire for social approval. So what you do is you choose one of these that your product satisfies, and that becomes the emotional foundation of your ad. Because here's the thing, if your product is shampoo, you're not actually selling shampoo. You're selling confidence. You're not selling a t-shirt. You're selling the way that someone walks down the street and gets compliments. And the most important thing is that you appeal to logic in the beginning of your ads, and then midway through to the end of your ads, you introduce logic. And that way, customers buy with emotion, and then they justify that purchase with logic. Now, the other thing that research unlocks is understanding where your customers sit on the stages of market awareness. Eugene Schwartz, the grandfather of advertising, wrote about these 5 stages in his book, Breakthrough Advertising. The 5 different stages are unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware. And the reason why this matters so much is because depending on what stage your customer is at, you need to deliver a completely different message to them. If someone doesn't even know that they have a problem and you start talking about your product, they're going to swipe past immediately. And if somebody already knows about your product and you spend 60 seconds educating them on the problem, that is a waste of their attention. Now, here is why this connects directly to scaling. When you first start running ads, you're typically selling to the most aware and product aware stages of market awareness. These people are easy to convert and you get some good initial scale. But what happens is, as you continue scaling your ad spend, you begin capping out these 2 most aware audiences. You hit a ceiling on your ad spend because there's only so many people in these 2 buckets. And to break through this ceiling, you need to start creating ads that appeal to the solution aware and problem aware stages, which are much bigger in size but require a lot more education. And this is usually the unlock that takes a brand from $500K to $700K to $1 million per month. And the way that you do that is through your ad frameworks. Here's the core ad framework that scales. A framework is basically a structure of an ad that you can follow. Think of it like a recipe where you have multiple different ingredients that you can put together in a specific order. And when you write out your script, you write line by line for each element of the framework. And that creates a much more structured ad. And when you test that ad and you read the data, you look at your engagement graphs, you look at your hook rates, your hold rates in Meta, you can see exactly where in the ad the engagement is dropping off. And what this means is that you can create a hypothesis around why some ads are working and why some ads aren't working. And then you can get into a process of iteration, which I'm going to cover in a little bit more detail later on in this video. So here is the core structure that we use for problem aware and solution aware audiences, which are the biggest audiences that you need to crack to scale. It all starts with the hook. And the key here is that you stop the scroll and you build curiosity related to the problem and the solution that you're about to introduce. You don't want to do some random thing that has nothing to do with what you're selling just to get attention. The key to creating hooks that turn into winning ads is to meet the customer where they're at in terms of the problem they're facing. So right after the hook, you get into the problem. Introduce the problem using their language. What that means is you want to use words that they would use themselves to describe the problem that they're facing. And you always want to talk in first person because preaching to someone doesn't work. If someone tells you a story about their experience and you can see yourself in that story, that's when you start to connect with them. Then you agitate the problem. Now, the key here is that you want to link the problem agitation to the core desire. Here's what I mean. If someone is suffering from acne, yes, the surface level problem is acne, but the deeper problem is that they do not have confidence. They feel like they can't attract a partner and they feel like they're missing out on opportunities in life and in work. Then after you agitate the problem, you move into failed solutions. What you do here is you list out the things that the customer has already tried but didn't work. And what this does is it builds trust because now the customer feels understood. A customer who feels understood is a customer who buys. Just remember that. And here you can take the opportunity to create a common enemy. And what this means is that you're putting yourself and your customer on the same team against the failed solutions and the companies that haven't worked for them, against the failed solutions or the competitors. And this is an extremely effective way to make the customer receptive to what you're about to share with them next. So after this comes the discovery. This is the light bulb moment as to why the failed solutions don't work and what actually causes the problem. Here you also introduce how the creator or the person in the video discovered the problem. In this section, you also introduce how the creator or the person in the video discovered your solution. And the key with this is it has to be believable and natural. Things like, my friend told me about this product. Things like, my doctor told me about it. Things like, I was up at 3 a.m. reading through Reddit and I came across someone who was talking about this product called XYZ, or talking about this ingredient that would help with my acne. Essentially, you want to use a discovery path that someone would actually take in their own lives. Think about how you've discovered products and what led you to buy those products. Was it a recommendation? Did you find something on YouTube, Instagram? Like, what were you doing to find that product? You need to make this as believable as possible. Otherwise, this could make or break your ad. Then you introduce the product product off the back of the discovery and you immediately introduce the unique mechanism. The unique mechanism is the thing or things that differentiate your product from every other solution out there. Now, this could be the specific ingredients or the way that it's constructed or some proprietary technology. This is so important because if you do not tell the customer what makes your product different from competitors, they're going to decide on price. And we all know that competing on price is a race to the bottom. So what you do here is you explain how the unique mechanism solves the problem. And then you want to immediately back that up with evidence and proof. This is where you want to leverage customer reviews, before and afters. And you want to leverage authority like dermatologists, clinical studies, your article in Forbes, how your materials are certified by NASA. Because if you just say this product has these active ingredients, some people may believe you, but it's not going to have much impact. We all know as humans that we need proof to make big claims believable. Next is going to be 2 to 3 product benefits that link back to the core desire. Listing more than 3 benefits is not efficient because customers don't remember more than 3. So what you do here is you state the benefit that your product provides, but then you link it back to the core desire, the desired outcome that your customer actually wants. Then you want to reinforce that these benefits are in fact true by showing customers who are experiencing the benefits. After those benefits, you can then introduce the end result. Now, this is all about future pacing. Future pacing is painting a picture of how the customer's life will look and feel after they use your product. The content creator or the person filming and talking in the video, even if you're using a voiceover, you want to make sure that they're saying that they were in the exact same position as your customer is right now, just a few months ago. And then you want them to say how their life has changed now. And more specifically, you want them to focus on who they have become. Things like, now I have more confidence. Now I feel like I can go out and attract a partner. Now I feel like more opportunities are coming my way in life. And this is what actually moves the needle when getting someone to make a purchasing decision right now. And finally, you present the offer and the call to action. What you want to do is you want to state your offer and then tie in some sort of urgency. Now, urgency is time-based, like this offer may not be around for long, or this is limited time and ends next week. And you also want to introduce some scarcity, which is unit-based. Things like, we are low on stock. This product has sold out 5 times already this year. Then you want to remove the risk from the offer that you just presented with a money-back guarantee. And then you want to tell people exactly what to do, not go shop now. It's go to this website, click the button that says learn more, add the product to cart, hit the checkout, take them through the process, and even show it in your ad. And here's an example of what a script actually looks like when it's laid out like this on Notion with the script written out line by line. You can see here that we have structures for the hooks, the problem, the shift, the objection, solution intro, mechanism, fit, reassurance, use, outcome, risk reversal, CTA. Each of these has its own line that the content creator will read. And we also have some visual instructions for B-roll and what the content creator should be doing in the video. And I'm actually going to play you an example of an ad right now that follows the structure that I just took you through.
Your gut issues are aging your skin. If your gut is bloated, inflamed, or stressed, your body can't properly absorb collagen. If your collagen supplements feel like they do nothing, this is probably why. It's not the collagen, it's your gut environment. This is why so many women are adding everyday dose coffee to their daily routine. It's packed with high quality collagen peptides, takes seconds to make, and tastes better than regular coffee. It supports gut health for better collagen absorption, helps ease stress and anxiety that speed up collagen breakdown, and promotes better sleep when your body repairs collagen the most. All thanks to natural adaptogens like functional mushrooms and L-theanine, used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine. Right now, you can get their full 30-serving bag, 5 bonus gifts, and free shipping, all for $25. They won't run this deal for long, so the link on this video is the fastest way in. The longer you wait, the quicker you could be aging.
Okay, so maybe you saw some of the structure of that ad, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the ad again. This time, I'm going to break down each section so that you can see how the structure is behind the ad itself. And hopefully this is going to connect all the dots together for you.
Your gut issues are aging your skin.
Okay, that's the hook. Your gut issues are aging your skin, okay? New angle, maybe you haven't heard that before. If you have gut issues, maybe you didn't think about the aging part of it, right? So that is designed to stop the scroll, and notice how the visual is of a gut. Okay, we're not doing some crazy thing. We're not jumping off a building on fire to get attention. What we're doing is we're getting attention because we're speaking to the problem that our customers are facing, right? They're facing issues with their gut. Now, right after the hook is the problem. So let's see how they've introduced the problem.
Your gut issues are aging your skin. If your gut is bloated, inflamed, or stressed, your body...
Okay, if your gut is bloated, inflamed, or stressed. Now, this is targeted towards people with that problem. If their gut is bloated or inflamed, this is going to speak directly to them.
They can't properly absorb collagen. If your collagen supplements...
Then we get a little bit into the problem agitation. Now I will say this is very light, but it does agitate the problem a little bit and also serves as a little bit of education.
Body can't properly absorb collagen. If
your body can't properly absorb collagen, right? Very quick, but what they're talking about is a side effect of the fact that their gut is bloated or inflamed. Then we get into the failed solutions, right? They start talking about collagen supplements.
your collagen supplements feel like they do nothing, this is probably why. It's not the
Okay, so you see how we're talking about the failed solutions.
collagen, it's your gut environment. This is why so
It's not the collagen, it's your gut environment. This is the discovery, right? This is the actual cause.
many women are adding everyday dose.
Now, I would like the discovery to be a little bit longer, but as you can see in this example, you don't always have to spend a lot of time on each section. So from here, they're going straight into the product introduction.
Adding everyday dose coffee to their daily routine. It's packed with, this is why so many women are adding everyday dose coffee to their daily routine. It's packed.
Okay, this is why so many women are adding everyday dose to their daily routine. So they're introducing the product with some social proof, not just showing different women with the product, but saying that so many women are adding it to their daily routine. So a good way to introduce the product is you add in some social proof around it so that it's not just like, hey, here's our product. It's more like thousands of people have already used this, or athletes and scientists, who knows who is using this product, right? You pack it around with social proof and trust and authority so that the delivery is not as harsh. Then they're getting into the benefits.
Packed with high quality collagen peptides, takes seconds to make and tastes better than regular coffee. It supports gut health for better collagen absorption, helps ease stress and anxiety that speed up collagen breakdown, and promotes better sleep when your body repairs collagen the most. All things.
Okay, notice how there was 3 benefits, right? If we just go back and we watch the benefits, because it started with some features, right? How easy it is to prepare, the collagen peptides, etc. But the benefits start when they talk about gut health.
Supports gut health for better collagen absorption, helps ease stress and anxiety that speed up collagen breakdown, and promotes better sleep when your body repairs collagen the most.
And remember, we're using 3 benefits because humans like to think in rules of 3, okay? If we were to do 4 benefits, 5 benefits, 6 benefits, we're taking up valuable time and attention in the video when the 4th benefit onwards, you're not really going to get the same impact as going from 2 benefits to 3 benefits. That's just what we've seen.
Thanks to natural adaptogens like functional mushrooms and L-theanine, used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine. Right now,
Okay, notice how we're adding a little bit of authority here to the benefits that we just said, right? Ancient Chinese medicine. This is like, we haven't just pulled this out of thin air. It's been used for centuries. Okay, so we're adding a little bit of that to, again, make the delivery of our benefits a little bit more believable. Now, this ad doesn't touch too much on the end result, but it does go into a very strong offer and call to action, which we'll play now.
Now you can get their full 30 serving bag, 5 bonus gifts, and free shipping, all for $25.
That's the offer.
They won't run this deal for long, so the link on this video is the
They won't run this deal for long. Urgency, right? It's time-based. Now we're getting into the CTA. The link on this video is the fastest way to get it.
fastest way in. The longer you wait, the quicker you could be aging.
Okay, and it ends
Your gut
with,
issues are
and then it ends with some sort of satire. The longer you wait, the quicker you could be aging, and ends on a light tone. And there you have it. That is this framework that we just went through in this video, packed into a 40-second ad. Now, having a framework is one thing, but to actually scale, you need volume. The brands that separate themselves at 8 and 9 figures are producing a ton of ad creatives every single month. We're talking about testing hundreds and hundreds of ads every single month, 20 to 30 ads per concept in creative sprints. And the metric that you want to track is your win rate. This is the percentage of creatives that you produce that actually become winners that you can scale. On average, most brands get about 0.5 winners per 10 ads produced. So they would need to produce 20 ads to get 1 winning ad. Now, elite brands, the ones we work with at 8 and 9 figures, they're getting 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 winning ads for every 10 ads that they test. And that difference is the creative process. That is research, frameworks, and iteration at work. And iteration is really where you extract the most value. But I don't mean iteration in terms of you create a slight tweak or variation of the ad, because with Andromeda, that simply doesn't work anymore. What you need to do instead is you need to understand why your ad is working. Is it the hook? Is it the angle? Is it the avatar you're speaking to? And what you can do is you can download your winning ad, you can upload it to Gemini, and you can ask it, why is this ad winning? Give me all the reasons why this ad may be working well. You can then take those reasons and you can then begin to create hypothesis around why you think the ad is working, and then you create more ads based on that same hypothesis. If it's the angle, create more ads based on that angle. If it's the hook, then create more ads targeting different avatars with that hook. If it's the avatar itself, then create more ads for that avatar. But the key is don't do small little tweaks and then run the ad again. Meta's going to serve it to the exact same audience. They're not going to see it as a net new ad. What you want to do is you want to create a very different ad, but based on the learnings that you have from the hypothesis that you create. And that process is going to allow you to double down on your winning ads and create very different winning ads, which plays directly into what Meta's algorithm wants. Now, one thing I want to address is the cost of all this content, because as you scale ad spend, you need more creative, and that can get expensive fast. So there's a rule I follow called the 5% 5% rule. And what it means is that you spend 5% of your ad spend on getting new content to then fuel your creative volume. Now, as a rule of thumb, if you're spending above 5% on content, then it's too high. And there's a few ways to actually bring that down way below 5%. The first thing is AI voiceovers. You can use something called 11 Labs, which is getting better every single day to create voiceovers that you can use in your ads rather than asking a content creator to film a voiceover for you. And what you can do is you can use your existing B-roll footage that you've collected over months and over years, and you can pair that with an AI voiceover to create new ads. You don't always need to go out and get new content from your content creators. We do this for our clients and it saves them a ton of money while we still produce ads that perform. The second is using Claude or Notion AI for scripting. If you train AI on your brand, your winning ads, your reviews, you can produce new angles, new scripts, new ad hooks in minutes. Feed the AI with your winning frameworks and also your winning avatars, and that will accelerate the process of finding new winning ads. Third is creating UGC videos with AI using tools like Kling 3.0. Now you're able to create extremely realistic UGC videos entirely with AI, and you can do it in a matter of minutes. You no longer have to pay content creators hundreds of dollars per video and wait 2 weeks by the time you get the content back. Now you pay a few $100s per month for these AI tools and you get hundreds of ads in a fraction of the time. And fourth, if you're going to continue working with content creators, negotiate better rates with them. You can get bulk rates for multiple videos at once instead of paying $200 to $300 per video. The same goes for whitelisting. Negotiate your rates. Part 2 is all about converting traffic into customers. So now you have winning ads and you're driving traffic. But even with the best ads in the world, if your landing page experience does not convert, you're leaving a ton of money on the table. I've seen it time and time again with my own clients where increasing the conversion rate raises the ceiling for how much we can spend on our ads while maintaining the efficiency of profitable ROAS. And the way I like to measure if the conversion rate and AOV balance is correct is with a simple formula. You take your conversion rate, you drop the percentage sign, and you multiply it by your AOV. And you want that number to be above 250. So if your conversion rate is 2% and your AOV is $100, you take 2, you multiply it by 100, and your number is 200. Which means you're not quite there yet, which is below the 250, and that means that there's work to be done on conversion rate, average order value, or both. So let's talk about landing pages for different stages of awareness. Landing pages are a huge part of our conversion strategy, and the key is to match the style of landing page to the stage of market awareness that you're targeting in your ads. For the less aware audiences, the problem aware and the solution aware audiences, advertorials tend to work best. As you can see here on my screen, an advertorial is more of a long form editorial piece. It takes those audiences through the full journey of education. Now, don't get me wrong, this is harder to execute because it is so long form and because you need to write it very well in order to hold attention all the way through. But if you do crack it, you're going to get so much more scale to those colder audiences. Then we have listicles, which are a great option and are much easier to execute than advertorials. Something like a 5 reasons why format. These pages are quick to build, they're very simple, and it gives the customer the information they need to be educated on your product without having to write a ton of copy. And listicles work great at taking problem-aware or solution-aware audiences and bringing them closer to making that purchasing decision. Quiz funnels are great for education and building commitment, and what they do is they get micro commitment from your traffic every question they answer. The customer goes through the quiz, maybe they get personalized results, and by the end of it they feel very invested. And that investment translates to a higher conversion rate because they've already engaged with your brand by the time they see the offer. And then we have the inverted PDP, which is probably the lowest lift to implement and one that we use a lot. It's called an inverted PDP because we take the elements that are usually on a PDP and we're flipping them around. Instead of showing the product and the price front and center, we're educating our audience first and then we're presenting the offer later on down the page. Now, I want to walk you through this inverted PDP landing page in more detail because it's something that you can take from this video and start building today. So let's get into it. The first section is the hero section, and this is where you want to have a clear headline that hooks your audience back in. Think about it. These people are landing on this page after seeing an ad. What you want to do is, first of all, reassure customers that they're in the right place. Make sure you're using the similar colors. Show the product. Have a headline that talks about the same problem and solution that you were speaking about in your ad. And the goal of the hero is also to get a click on the button or give people a reason to continue scrolling. Now, some important elements you want to include in your hero section. The social proof. You can see up here the 5 stars rated 4.9 by Real Primal Women. You want to have your clear headline. Then you want to have a sub-headline with some bullets. These could be benefit statements such as 68% improved energy, 40% reduced hormone hormone imbalance, 83% higher satisfaction with their cycle. Then you want to have a very clear call to action on your button. In this example, we're seeing unlock your true power. Now, in my opinion, this is much more exciting and much more likely to get clicks than just a shop now. Then underneath that button, we have some things that help reduce the risk, such as the money back guarantee and the free shipping. And the image you want to use in your hero section is either a standalone product image or someone who looks like the customer you're trying to sell to using or holding the product. Now, in the section just below the hero, you want to educate customers on what the problem is and why your product exists. So in this example, we see how our ancestors thrived before big pharma and processed foods. So it's kind of taking the customer back to why do we actually need this product in the first place? Because they're going to use that education to form a foundation and the basis of the offer that they're going to give at the end of the page. So this section essentially just talks about how our ancestors thrived on meat. Then big pharma came along, and now all of our food is processed. And Primal Queen is taking this problem and is saying that beef organ superfoods are the key to treating the root cause of modern day symptoms. And then it explains a little bit more about the benefits of beef organs. Then you can see here we have another CTA. It's the same call to action button we saw in the hero, but just repeated here. So if someone is ready to make that decision, click and buy, they can do so. They don't have to scroll all the way back up. Then what this company does in the next section is they give some sort of expectations as to what the customer can expect from using this product. Now, I've reviewed many different inverted PDP landing pages, and sometimes this comes a bit later on in the page, and that's okay. You can decide where to put it, further up the page or later in the page. For me personally, I'd rather put it later in the page. Once someone has kind of already convinced themselves that this is the product that they want, then we can talk more about expectations as to what they will feel and what they will experience using our product. And this right here is a simple timeline of what benefits you'll experience, how long will they have to use this product to get the benefits that they want, and what will they actually feel when using it. Is it actually going to solve their problem? And there's an underlying subtle concept going on here, which is you're basically telling the customer that you need to be using this product for a long time in order to get the real benefits. So you're already baking in some customer lifetime value there, and that is just a very clever principle that you can use, especially if you have a product that is consumable by nature, such as supplements or some sort of topical cream. After that comes a how-to section. So here, whenever you do a how-to section, you want a simple 3 steps. As we spoke about earlier in the ad creatives, humans like to think in terms of 3s. Don't make it a 10-step process, even a 4-step process. Consolidate it into 3 steps maximum. And essentially, you just want to give customers information on how they can use your product, and you want to make it easy as possible. Even if it's not so easy, you want to try and make it as easy and simple, because a customer is going to start thinking, well, okay, now I need to remember to take the supplement every morning, or now I need to remember to use this device every evening. Like, how am I going to do that? How is it going to fit into my routine? And the important thing is in the how-to, right? You want to make it as easy as possible, seamless to fit into the routine. Do this to remember it. Use our free badass bamboo lid glass jar, like whatever you have to do to make it easy and make it a habit and make it exciting, do it. Then you want to have some clear social proof sections. Now, what this brand has done, and something I like a lot, is use Facebook comments. Screenshots of Facebook comments. I've seen this convert extremely well. So rather than just having, random customer testimonials and reviews, which anyone could have wrote, the brand could have wrote them themselves. If you have screenshots of Facebook comments with the avatar that you're targeting, right? Brittany, Shay, Rachel, Tina, Beth, Kyra, the customer can see themselves in these reviews, okay? Even in the words that they're using, they're talking about the problems that the customer is facing and also the outcomes, the desires that the customer wants. And when a customer sees these, they're not thinking that these are fake reviews. They're thinking that these are real Facebook comments, and that's the key. Then you can have a founder story section, and this is super powerful because it puts a face to the brand. This is a little bit about why the company exists, what you faced. If you have a strong founder story, maybe you faced your own struggles going through the same problem that the customers are facing, so you made this product to help you with that problem, then you definitely want to introduce that here. This is also a good opportunity to tie back in those failed solutions. You can see here that this founder is saying, I've tried everything from low carb, plant-based to green. We're talking about all the failed solutions here. And then from that, we're saying none of it worked. So we found the root cause, created this product because we couldn't find something like it on the market. And here we are today, helping thousands of women. That is what this brand is doing, and it works extremely well. And then finally, we have the offer section. And this is where we're presenting the product, the price. You can see here from this brand, Primal Queen, they have the 1-month auto ship and save, their subscription program. And then they also have the 1-month supply, the one-time purchase. Now, within your inverted PDP, there's many different elements that you can put throughout. Things such as comparison tables. You might want to have some authority leverage from your press articles, the fact that you were featured in Forbes and maybe you were featured in Business Insider. You might want to have some quotes and some testimonials from people in authoritative positions. Maybe it's athletes who have used your product, maybe it's influencers, maybe it's doctors. You might want to include some before and afters on your page. Like, you can introduce new elements if you think they're going to help with the conversion cycle. And the main thing is that the flow of the page from start to finish must make sense. And you need to put yourself in the customer's shoes and think about what questions would I want answered and in what order. Once you have those written out, the questions that you want answered in the specific order that the customer is going through, it becomes very easy to create landing pages that convert, because you just take that and you create a section for each of those questions, right? Each section answers each of those questions, and you're taking the customer through a very natural journey to then introducing them to the offer and converting them into a customer. Now, beyond landing pages, there are some simple things that you can test on your Shopify store to increase conversion rate. The first is your product page carousel. Now, whenever we look at heat maps, this is the most interacted with section on the product page. And the reason why is because it's the first thing people see, especially on mobile. If we just switch to the mobile view here, you can see that as someone lands on this product page, the first thing they see is the product image carousel. And most brands just fill this with images of products and people using the products, and that is such a missed opportunity. Now, something that we like to do, and that this brand, IM8, has done extremely well, is that they're using the space, they're using this real estate to include benefits, to include authority statements, to include social proof, to include risk reversal, guarantees, even things like scarcity and urgency. And as I scroll through these slides, you can see here that we have clinically proven, third-party tested. We have replaces 16 supplements. So we're not just showing a product image, we're actually using these to create infographics. And that is the key, because as someone's going through here, you have to think about what questions are going through someone's mind. They have the supplement facts. I don't know how much value this adds, but maybe it's working very well for them. Maybe they look at the heat maps and see that someone is spending a ton of time on this slide because they want to know exactly what ingredients are in the product, because someone buying this is probably very concerned about the specific ingredients and even the specific dosages of these ingredients. Then we have a comparison table, right? Another thing that's answering questions in the customer's mind. Then we have David Beckham, some authority. And I think they could use this space here to have a few words, a quote from David Beckham. And then they have a how it works, a 4-step, ideally should be 3-step in my opinion, as to how the product works. Put a scoop in, you mix it, you drink it, you're good to go. Now, the second area is the navigation menu on mobile. And this is always in the top 5 areas that are clicked when we look at heat maps on websites. And what's happening is that people are coming to your website and they want to browse around. Maybe they're not ready to buy just yet, but they actually want to see what else you have on your website. Can I trust this website? And usually the first port of call is that hamburger menu, that navigation menu up here in the top. Now, if your hamburger menu, your navigation menu is messy and it's hard to navigate, then that is going to kill conversion. The main thing here is to keep it simple, have a clear hierarchy. And this example here from IM8 is perfect. You can see that it's clearly separated, it's not messy, very well structured, and I can shop different products. I can look at the reviews, I can go to merchandise, I can shop all, I can read about us, the science, the ingredients. It's very easy for me to navigate here. Now, the third thing you can do is you can keep the add to cart button visible at all times on mobile. And you can see here this example from IM8. Even at the top of the page, the add to cart button is sticky at the bottom here. It doesn't take up a lot of space, but what it means is that the customer doesn't have to scroll to add to cart. They might be ready to add to cart already. If that's the case, don't have your customer trying to find where to click, where's the button. They're gonna go, they're gonna leave your website. Make sure the add to cart button is always visible. And you can see as we scroll, we even have another add to cart button that shows up here which says get started. And this sounds like a small thing, but it matters a lot for conversion rate. Now, I want to bring in subscribe and save here because it sits at the intersection of conversion and retention. Now, just having a subscribe and save option that's save 5%, save 10% is not going to get you a lot of subscribers. It's not 2016 anymore. Nowadays, for a customer to commit to a subscription, they need more than just a small discount. You need bonuses, you need free gifts, you need faster shipping, things like store credit that accumulates over time, even access to exclusive products. And here's a perfect example from IM8. They have a 90-day supply, which is their subscription offer, and you can see that by joining, I save 35%. I get exclusive access to 90-day IM8 transformation program. I get maximum savings. I can share it with family and friends. I get the free daily ultimate mixer, which is worth $18, free shipping, cancel or pause anytime, free welcome kit, signature red cup, 5 chocolate sachets, another $18. This is not subscribe and save 10%. This is a great offer. Think about the value of acquiring a subscription customer and what that does to your LTV. If you can acquire a subscriber where the numbers make sense for your customer acquisition cost, it's going to be much more profitable for you 3, 6, 9 months down the line. Now, don't get me wrong, not every single brand can introduce a subscribe and save program, but if the product that you're selling allows for it, then I would strongly suggest that you introduce a subscribe and save program if you haven't already. And if you do have a subscribe and save program, use the things that I'm speaking about in this video to make it even stronger and increase the amount of customers who are opting into that subscribe and save program versus just buying one time. Now, some additional things is I would test pre-selecting this subscribe and save option if you don't already. This brand IM8 pre-selects the 90-day supply, their subscribe and save option. And we do this for our clients as well. If one of our clients is having a subscribe and save option on their product page, we pre-select it. And you also want to make sure that all the bonuses, all the perks are visible within the card. You don't want to have the customer hunting for, what benefits do I get if I opt in for the subscribe and save? You want to have it very clear here. And they even say about the IMA transformation program, see below. So if I scroll down, I can read more about the 90-day IMA transformation program. It's just here. I don't have to go hunting for it. And it takes up a good amount of space that it gets my attention. Now, even when I click the 30-day supply, you can see that all of these benefits in the 90-day supply stay visible. And that's important because as a customer, I'm going to be comparing the two options. Is it worth going for 30 days? Is it worth going for 90 days? And by the way, this is a brand that is doing over $100 million in revenue. They grew to 110 million in annual recurring revenue in record time. So what they're doing here works. And trust me, we've done this with our own clients and it just works. Now, another quick tip for your subscribe and save program is if you're billing on a monthly cadence, switch to a weekly cadence. Here's what I mean. Rather than billing 1 month, bill 4 weeks. Why? Because if you were to just bill monthly, you would get 12 billing cycles in a year, right? 12 months in a year. But if you do it every 4 weeks, you get 13 billing cycles. You get one whole extra billing cycle, which is additional profit, right? And it feels just like another month. In the customer's mind, there's no difference between 4 weeks and 1 month, 12 weeks and 3 months. But over the course of 12 months, it is one whole billing cycle. So now let's move into part 3, which is retention and lifetime value. Now we're acquiring customers and we're converting them at a good rate. But here's the thing that separates the 7-figure brands from the 8-figure and 9-figure brands. If those customers only buy from you once, it is going to be extremely difficult to reach $10 million per year and beyond, unless of course you're selling very expensive items. The cost to acquire new customers is going up. Rising advertising costs, more competition, tariffs are squeezing margins. And while there are so many things you can be doing to lower your customer acquisition costs on the front end, which we just covered, you also have to focus on increasing lifetime value on the back end. Because the brands that win over the long run are the ones that can pay more to acquire a customer. And if you can pay more than your competitors, you can be more aggressive. You can acquire more market share and you can outpace your competitors over time. And what allows you to pay more for acquiring a customer is LTV. So let's talk about setting LTV targets and tracking them. LTV is only useful when you assign a time frame to it. Just having an LTV number and not knowing when you're actually going to receive that value is useless. So what I recommend is setting LTV targets for specific time frames. Think about your 60-day lifetime value, your 90-day lifetime value, even your 365-day lifetime value. And you don't need all of those, but it really just depends on what you're selling. If you're selling a product where the natural repeat purchase cycle is every 30 days, then it does make sense to have a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day LTV. But if your product range means that someone is not really going to make that second purchase within 60 days, then it's probably not worth tracking 60-day lifetime value. And maybe then it makes more sense to focus on 90-day lifetime value, maybe even 180-day lifetime value. Especially if you're selling high-ticket products like $1,000 plus furniture items, it's very unreasonable to have a 60-day lifetime value target, unless of course you're selling high-priced items and then also some low-priced items that are very complementary to the thing that you just sold the customer. So like I said, it really just depends on what you're selling, and you're going to have to draw your own conclusion as to what lifetime value timeframes you should be looking at. So here are the benchmarks to aim for. On my screen here, I have a graph that shows lifetime value and also time. As more time goes by, you want your lifetime value to increase. Obvious, right? But what should you actually be aiming for in terms of the lifetime value number? Well, I have some benchmarks for you, and these are gold standard benchmarks. It doesn't mean that they're the same for every industry. They're more averages and generalizations. So the first one is a 30 to 60 day LTV target. This could also be 90 days depending on what you're selling and depending on the repeat purchase cycle or when someone is more likely to purchase another item from you. This should be 30% higher than the first purchase AOV. So for example, let's just say that the first purchase AOV is $100. A 30% increase would be $130, right? This needs to be the LTV after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Another benchmark is your 365-day lifetime value, your 12-month lifetime value. This is 1 full year after someone has made that first purchase from you. And this should be 100% higher. It should be double of the first purchase AOV. Now, as I said, these are benchmarks. If you're selling more expensive items, it is unreasonable to think that a customer is going to spend double with you in a year. They might over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It depends on how many products you're offering, and of course depends on how good your product is. And then you want to look at your lifetime value to CAC ratio. And generally speaking, this ratio should be at least 3 to 1, meaning for every $1 you spend on acquiring a customer, you should generate $3 or more in lifetime value. But there's an important caveat here, which is you need to review your P&L, your profit and loss statement, before you set this goal. Because depending on your margins, fulfillment costs, overhead, other things, you may need a ratio that is even higher than 3 to 1 for it to make sense and maintain profitability over time. Now, to actually calculate your lifetime value and get different numbers for different benchmarks, I would recommend using something like Lifetimely, which is a Shopify app. Once you know where your existing lifetime value numbers are, then you can start setting benchmarks and goals for the different time frames. And once you have those goals in place, then you can start rolling out the strategies that I'm about to walk you through right now. Email and SMS marketing is the vehicle for increasing lifetime value. It is not just about driving a percentage of revenue from email. It is about moving your customer lifetime value in the right direction. Now, one of the biggest issues I see with email marketing is that brands are just not sending enough campaigns. You want to be sending at least 3 campaigns per week to non-customers. These are people who are on your list but have never purchased. And you want to be sending 2 to 3 emails per week to existing customers with some overlap. For example, you might send the same email to existing customers and non-customers, although we've seen it's better to actually single those audiences out and even get more granular on your existing customer segmentation so that you can deliver a specific message to a specific audience segment. And the key when sending email campaigns is to follow the 80-20 rule. Now, over the course of a full year, around 80% of your emails should lead with value. They should lead with educational content, brand content, things that the customer will open and actually learn. And the other 20% of emails should be focused on sales and promo content. Because if you only send promotion emails, you're going to burn your list because there's no urgency. You're always having a sale, or there's no brand affinity. There's no connection with the customer and the brand. And what happens is your customers are deciding when they're going to buy depending on what sale email they receive. But when you follow the 80-20 split and you do send that 20% promotional sales content, it performs so much better than if you were to just send sale email after sale email after sale email. And the reason for that is because the 80% of emails that you're sending have built so much goodwill, so much trust, a stronger connection between the person and the brand. And therefore, when you are direct and you are saying, hey, we have a sale, hey, this is happening, and when you do send an email that is very directly selling, it's very promo focused, the conversion rate on those emails is going to be so much higher. And right here on my screen, I have perfect examples of the 80%, the value content, the brand driven content, the value. This is a brand that sells a nootropic, a health supplement, and they send a lot of emails that are interesting to open and read. Here we have stress is perfectly natural. It's our body's physical response to mental and emotional pressure. And then it kind of tells us about good stress and bad stress. And I'm actually learning something here. And later on, it does introduce the product and it talks about the ingredients, and it's like a subtle sell. This works extremely well. Here we have another one about brain health. A very interesting topic for someone who is interested in brain health is the true cost of caffeine and how it affects your brain and how high performers think differently. And again, the product is introduced in a subtle way. This email right here is about how mushrooms are a hot topic right now. So they're talking about mushrooms, the shroom boom, the raw power of lion's mane. Based on 2,500 years of research, it uses that ingredient and the angle of this email to then transition naturally into the product because the product contains lion's mane. Then you can see we have the 20%, the discount emails. Help yourself to a 10% discount. It's gifting season. This is very direct and it's very, hey, this is the sale, go and buy. And this brand has built up so much goodwill in their previous 80% emails that these emails absolutely crush. You can see another one here, save 10% today. So hopefully this allows you to see what this actually looks like in practice. The next thing is do not sleep on plain text emails. Now these emails look like an email that I would receive from a friend. On my screen here, I have an example from this brand, Home in Hadfield. It's even coming from the founder's business email address. And the reason why these plain text emails work so well is because it feels very personal. It's not clearly a marketing email. It feels more like, as I mentioned, something that you would receive from a friend or a colleague. And there's a few things that separates a fantastic plain text email doesn't work. So first of all, you want to use your plain text emails sparingly, which means that you don't want to be sending them out all the time because they kind of lose their impact. What we do is we use plain text emails for quick updates, for sale reminders, for hey, we just launched this product and it's selling fast. We want to make sure you can get in. The reason why we do that is because it's more natural to send a plain text email because it feels like, hey, we had to get this out fast. Hey, we had to just shoot this over to you. We didn't have the time to put together a whole design, and adds a little bit more urgency because of that. The next thing is you want it to come from someone, a human, ideally the founder. But if it's not the founder, then somebody else on the team. It doesn't even have to be a real person. I've seen these come from, for example, the head of customer experience, the head of customer service. And again, it just makes it more personal. Then you're not getting this email from just a faceless brand. You're getting it from an actual human on the other side of the screen. Then the text itself, you don't want to have a super long wall of text. No one's going to read it. You also don't want to have text in a bunch of different colors. Of course, hyperlinks are going to be in different colors, and that's actually good. But what you don't want is you don't want to have red text and black text and green text. That just looks more like a marketing email, and honestly, it looks very spammy. The reason why you want to have hyperlink text is because if you were to add a button into this email, it would no longer have the effect of a plain text email, right? It immediately screams marketing email. Whereas these hyperlinks is just a bit more natural and like what you you would actually send to a colleague or friend. Now, if you wanted to take these plain text emails even further, I would do my best to have an image of the person that I'm receiving it from here, right? That would just add so much more credibility. Harder to achieve because some inboxes don't allow this or they restrict this depending on whether you have BIMI, BMC, it's a completely out of the conversation, but that's just a small detail that would make this even more powerful. If you don't have that, don't worry, it's just a nice to have. Having a plain text email formatted like this, even shorter to the point, less text, is going to work extremely well when used sparingly. And some founders think that plain text emails is going to damage their brand. We do this for 8-figure brands, 9-figure brands, a bunch of other 9-figure brands do them. Trust me, they don't damage your brand, and in fact, they actually strengthen the relationship with each individual in your inbox, because email is a very personal channel, right? If we're sending a personal note, something that looks like we've written it to them, it's actually a lot more personal than a designed email. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is when it comes to product launches, most brands are wasting so much potential. So the next time you have a product launch, follow these steps. First of all, you want to send hype builder emails 1 to 3 weeks before you actually launch your product. And here's a perfect example from this brand again, Home in Hadfield. The subject says only 5 days left. Are you ready? Now, this email is telling me about a product that's coming in 5 days. The Winder is this new product. They have this cool image, and then they have some scarcity. Only 300 units available. Our first ever limited drop, expected to sell out fast. Join the waitlist for a 1-hour head start next Friday. So there's actually benefits to me joining the waitlist. And what that means is they're going to get more clicks on this email, which is going to juice the deliverability, right? Which is, by the way, more advanced tactic is before you drop the product, before you launch a big sale, in the lead up to that, your emails, you want them to focus on increasing your deliverability. The way that you can do that is you can increase click-through rate. You can increase curiosity. You can get people to click and go watch an Instagram video, because the CTR on those emails, the amount of clicks that those are driving, is going to drive very good signals to inboxes like Gmail, like Outlook, like Yahoo, because they will say, well, people are actually interacting with these emails. So we want to make sure next time the brand sends an email, we want it to go to the inbox and not the promotions tab, not the spam folder. Same thing with replies. A reply to your email is even stronger than a click. So if you can encourage replies, if this brand instead said, hey, reply to this email to join the waitlist, reply with the word waitlist, reply with the word yes, whatever, and then someone else on the team would manually add those people to the waitlist, or you would just create a specific segment of those people that replied to the email. Then what you could do, then all those replies would be sending amazing signals to Gmail, to Yahoo, so that when you do send the all-important email, drop in the product that you want to outperform all the others. So then when the big day rolls around and you send that all-important email that drops the product, your deliverability is going to be in a good spot. Now, I'm saying this, if you have poor deliverability, this is not going to save, right? This is more like if your deliverability is already good, how you can get it even better right before a big product launch or before a sale starts. Now, another thing that's happening here is that when someone joins a waitlist, they are showing commitment. They are committing themselves to getting early access, which means they're interested in the product. And when they actually receive that email, they're more likely to follow through with that commitment, because this is one of the principles from Robert Cialdini's book, The Principles of Persuasion, is that we want to be consistent with our actions as humans. If we commit to something, if we say we're interested in something, then we're more likely to actually follow through with that commitment and make the purchase. So when it comes to the launch, you want to send emails in the lead up to the launch. As I mentioned, 1 to 3 weeks, send multiple emails, build hype, build excitement, create scarcity, create some urgency. Say, hey, we're only limiting the waitlist to 5,000 people. 4,176 people have already signed up. Click this button to make sure you get your spot on the waitlist and get 1 hour early access. You do that as many times as possible in different ways without annoying your list. Then on the launch day itself, you want to send an email, you want to send an SMS, and then you want to follow that email with 2 or 3 additional emails. And those additional emails need to look visually different. Now, the reason why we send those additional emails is for a few reasons. First of all, customers may need to be asked more than once to purchase. Second, some people may just have missed your announcement email. And the key with these follow-up emails is you want to make them look different, because if someone did open that first email and then they open the second email and then you send them a third email, but they all look the same, then the customer is probably not going to interact with all of it. But if you choose different content angles, if you use different product images, if you make them look different, then the customer is going to see it as a net new email and is going to engage with it. And that right there is going to increase the number of units that you sell the next time you launch your product. So let's talk about post-purchase flows and converting subscribers. It's important to know that you're never going to convert 100% of your customers into subscribers on the first purchase. For brands that have a one-time and a subscription option, what I've seen is anywhere from 20% to 60% of customers opting into that subscription offer on the first purchase. Now, there's many things that you can do on the product page itself to increase the number of people that opt in to that subscribe and save program. And we went through those earlier on in this video. But as I mentioned, there's always going to be a percentage of people who don't go for that subscribe and save option and go for the one time. And then your job becomes converting as many of those one-time customers into subscribers. So a few things you can do is when someone actually checks out, you can give them the option before they hit the thank you page to upgrade to a subscribe and save. Give them a one-time offer that is very, very difficult to say no to. And this is what this actually looks like when someone checks out. We can see here this example from Obvi. It says you paid for your order, and then below this is actually an offer. Due to extremely high demand on the Collagen Burn Elite, it can sometimes go out of stock. And basically it's asking you to purchase a 3-month supply. It's probably, for customers who already purchased 1 or 2, basically getting them to purchase more of the same. This is very, very common and popular, and it works extremely well. But you can also present an option to upgrade to subscribe and save on the same product that the customer just purchased. And even if you convert 5%, 6%, 10% more customers into your subscribe and save program, those customers are so much more valuable to you than just someone who's going to purchase one time. And also the timing of this is important because someone has just spent money. They've just taken their credit card out, they've entered their details, and they've committed to spending money with you. So the highest likelihood of them spending more money with you is right after they just spent money with you, right? It sounds counterintuitive, but the data shows that to be true. So having a post-purchase offer and offering that subscribe and save program right after they make that purchase is a great way to convert more customers into subscribers. The next thing you can do is set up a post-purchase email flow that is also designed to convert those one-time customers into subscribers. You can hit them with another offer, and you can talk about things like the benefits of using your product for a longer time, the benefits of your subscribe and save program, the fact that the customer is actually going to save money, that if they are really invested in solving this problem, then they're going to need more than the 1 item they purchased or the 2 items they purchased. And the key here is to be specific and personalized. And you should do the extra work to create personalized email flows and branches because, again, if you can convert 5%, 10%, 12%, whatever it is, more customers into subscribers just after they've purchased, that is going to add so much more value to your company. Now, another thing that our clients have done is they have built a phone sales team to call customers up who purchased the one-time product and convert them into subscribers. And this is after someone has already had the time to use the product. It's not just after they've purchased. The customer's been using the product for a few weeks, maybe even in some cases a month or 2, and they get a call from the sales rep to check in on how they're doing. It's a customer experience call. It's not a sales call. And the person who is calling this customer up is basically asking questions like, how is your experience? Is there any concerns? Are you still using the product on a daily basis, depending on what the product is? And the conversation naturally goes into, hey, you should get more of the same product. And by the way, did you know we have this subscribe and save program? And it doesn't mean that you're going to save 20% on every order. It also means that you're going to get this perk and that perk. Do you want me to sign you up on this one-time offer that's only available today? Yes, right? Like that's how it goes. And this is extremely powerful. Now, don't get me wrong. Depending on the size of your brand, building out a phone sales team might be out of the picture, right? It might be out of the budget. But consider this. If you just start with 1 phone sales rep, or maybe if you use AI reps to call up customers, start with 1, see the ROI. And then if it makes sense, you can get the ROI to work. Then it makes sense to scale it out, build a full sales team. And guys, the brands that are doing this are absolutely crushing it. ROI is insane. But most brands are lazy. They don't want to do it. They don't see it as a worthy investment. They don't even try 1 sales rep. If you want to scale and you want to separate your brand from the others, you have to be willing to do things that other brands are not willing to do. This is one of those things. Another thing I want to talk about is direct mail. I'm sure you know this. Physical mail is not something that a lot of people receive anymore. So when a customer gets a mailer, a physical card from a brand that they already know, the chances of them interacting with that card and even converting into whatever the offer is on that card is extremely high. And what you can do is you can use something like Postpilot that integrates directly with Klaviyo, and you can even set up these flows, which basically triggers, just like an email would be triggered to send to a customer, flows that trigger specific direct mail cards to be printed and sent out to your customer's address. And if you don't want to do that, you can just do one-time campaigns. Just like you send out an email campaign, you can send out a batch of direct mail to a specific audience segment of customers, see how it performs, tweak the offer, tweak the creative, and send another one out, get more data. It works exactly the same as how you would test emails, but it's physical mailers. And whenever we've done this, it's always performed much, much better with existing customers. We haven't experienced a lot of success actually with sending direct mail to non-customers. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, but if I was you, I would recommend prioritizing the existing customer segments over the non-customers when you're going to do direct mail. So now let's talk about retention beyond email and SMS marketing. There are a few other retention levers that most brands are not pulling. Brand partnerships are one that is wide open. On the one hand, you can do direct partnerships. These are partnerships with brands that are in the same industry, targeting targeting the same customer avatar as you. Think about Nike and Palace doing a collab. They target the same end customer, so coming together and doing a collab means that they can both reach each other's audiences and strengthen each other's brands by association. And on the other hand, you can do indirect partnerships, which are partnerships with brands in a different industry targeting the same type of customer. Think about a brand that sells candles collaborating with a bakery to create a candle scent of freshly baked bread, right? They're both targeting the same customer. Maybe they've understood that their customers are women in their mid-30s who live in big cities, and making this product, collabing, is going to have more exposure for the bakery. It's going to allow the candle company to introduce something new that customers haven't seen, and it's going to benefit both brands. Now, I just spoke about collaborating with other brands to create products, but that's not the only way of doing these partnerships. You can do giveaways, where basically you can send emails to each other's lists to say, hey, we're giving away a bundle of products, which includes your products and this other brand's products. Another way of collaborating is product placements. Think about a meal preparation company, which sends meal kits to customers every day. And let's say your brand is a hydration supplement, something that comes in a sachet, and you create these small travel size sachets that you include in the packaging of that meal kit that's being sent to that customer every day. Now you're getting exposure, and you can create a partnership with these companies that aren't direct competitors, and they're sending their products to your ideal customer every day, every week, every month. You have some inserts, you can create you can structure a simple affiliate deal. Every customer that signs up through that meal kit company, the meal kit company gets a kickback, they get $10, whatever it is. You set up some sort of incentive structure that makes sense for both of you. The next retention lever is in-person meetups. And just like the phone sales team that we spoke about earlier, hardly any brands are doing these in-person meetups. And the brands that aren't doing this are leaving a ton of money and brand building opportunities on the table. And what you can do in your Shopify dashboard is you can see where your customers are concentrated by city. Let's just say there's a city like New York where there's a high concentration of your customers. You can organize a meetup in that city. And a creative way to do this is you can co-host that meetup with a local business to share some of the costs. Let's just say you do it at a local cafe and it's a small meetup. In this example, the cafe is benefiting from a lot of exposure. Maybe you say, hey, we're going to come in and shoot content, so you can use that content for your socials. We're going to use it for our socials. And you can figure out a cost structure for hosting this event that makes sense. And the benefits of doing these in-person events go way beyond the event itself. It's not just about the content that you're going to get. It's the goodwill. It's building personal relationships with customers. Imagine a customer that goes to an event and has a great time and speaks to the founder and meets other like-minded people. What are they going to do? They're going to post it on their social media, their Instagram stories. They're going to go and tell their friends and their family about it. And that word of mouth is going to spread exponentially. You can start with the very, very small meetups, 10 people, 15 people, 20 people. And then what you can do is you can go bigger. And then you can even have it decentralized where you can say, hey, your customers can organize the meetups for you. You can just go for a run together, go for a walk together. It depends on what you're selling, right? There's a brand called Outdoor Voices. They sell running gear, athletic clothing. They used to host these meetups where customers would meet up together and they would run together. And what it meant that they were building so much brand affinity because customers were connecting with other individuals that had shared interests over this brand, right? It was because of the brand that they found these new friends, that they made these new memories. And that is so viral in nature, and it worked extremely well for them. Now, the next thing you should definitely be doing is adding packaging inserts with every single order that you ship out to a customer. You see, every time you send something to a customer, it is an opportunity to upsell and introduce your customers to different products on your website. So what you can do is you can create these physical cards that have a specific offer and a QR code that the customer can scan and go directly to that offer page or the product page, introduce the coupon code, and buy that product. The key with this is it has to make sense for what the customer just purchased. If someone bought a lip balm, show them a body scrub. Don't just show them some random product, and make it an attractive offer, something like 30%, something like a free gift, and then add some urgency behind it for the next 48 hours only. Now let's get into part 4, which is scaling profitably and building the machine. So at this point, you have all the growth levers in place. You're acquiring customers, you're converting them, you're retaining them. You're acquiring customers, you're converting them, you're retaining them. But here is where a lot of brands fall apart. I see so many brands that are profitable at a certain level. They scale up, they get more revenue, but their profitability actually drops. And some brands even become unprofitable. And even though on paper it should work, they're losing more money as they scale even further. And the reason for that is because they never built the financial visibility or the operational systems to support that growth. The profit and loss statement is one of the biggest opportunities for e-commerce brands. And it is also the area where most brands have it all wrong. You'd be surprised by how many 7- and 8-figure brands I've spoken to that don't have clarity on their P&L. If you don't have a P&L being delivered to you every single month by an accountant, that is step 0. You need to fix that before anything else. else. So the first lever that most brands don't even realize is hurting them is the discount rate. You calculate this by taking your discounts and dividing by gross revenue. If you were heavily discounting 30%, 35%, 40%, this is eating into your gross margin on every single order. So what you can do immediately is reduce it. You can lower a site-wide discount, you can reduce the frequency at which you do discounts, you can decrease the offer in your pop-up from 30% to 25% to 20%. And if you have a brand that sells apparel or accessories, you might have a last call or a clearance page with a very high discount, 70%, 65%. This may be inflating your discount rate, and you might want to have a look at that to make sure that it's not impacting your gross margin too much. Now, don't get me wrong, when you decrease the discount that you're offering, there's likely going to be some impact on conversion rate. But here's the interesting thing. We've taken brands from unprofitable to profitable just by fixing their discount rate. Their blended ROAS actually decreased, but their gross margin increased by a lot more. So it's not always about chasing a higher ROAS or chasing a lower CPA. Brands that only focus on those metrics are going to get stuck. The second thing to audit is your Shopify apps and your software costs. If you don't actively do a Shopify app audit, you're likely going to be in for a shock by how much you're spending. There are probably apps right now that you're paying for but not using. Cancel those immediately. Klaviyo is another big one. Their billing method is not designed to save you money. It goes up the more profiles you have active and the more people you're sending to, but then it doesn't automatically come back down if it can. We use a partner called Orita, and one of the things that they do is they help optimize the Klaviyo bill. They do this by proactively suppressing profiles that are just not active, who aren't going to engage with our emails and are very, very unlikely to purchase from us anyway. The other thing that Orita does is it improves deliverability so that every single email we send has more impact. And recently we saved one of our clients $9,000 per month on app and software expenses. That's over $100,000 per year in additional profit. Content costs are another area of opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, the 5% rule. You want your budget for content to be around 5% of your monthly ad spend. If you're above that, there's room to optimize that with AI voiceovers, getting bulk rates with content creators, even using AI to produce more UGC content, and reusing existing B-roll. And then there's the bigger operational costs. First is employee expenses. Are you overstaffed? Are you paying employees more than the market rate? Can you leverage agencies or freelancers to get better rates for certain functions? Then there's office costs. Do you need the office that you're in right now, or could you possibly downsize or even go fully remote? Now, I'm not against offices. They're great for building culture, but put profitability first, especially if you're still scaling. The game changer for all of this is having a fractional CFO. Even at 7 figures, you can afford one. Have your accountant or bookkeeper deliver the P&L, give it to the fractional CFO, and their job is to read it, optimize it in real time, and watch everything like a hawk. Any new expense should be run by your CFO because they're responsible for making it fit into the budget. They're going to be responsible for creating a forecast for the rest of the year and telling you how much you can spend to acquire a customer, what your ROAS should be, and how much you can spend on marketing to hit your profitability goals. And then just make sure that your agency or your marketing team has access to your P&L as well. Marketing and finance need to be on the same page because everything in marketing ultimately comes back to finance. So at this point, you have the full playbook. You know how to build a creative engine that produces winning ads consistently. You know how to set up landing pages and how to optimize your website to convert more traffic. You know how to increase lifetime value through email, SMS, subscriptions, and retention channels that most brands aren't even thinking about. And you know how to read your P&L to make sure that you're profitable as you continue scaling and that you're not just growing revenue. Now, you have two options from here. Option one is you take everything from this video and you go and implement it yourself. And you absolutely can. But I want you to think about what that looks like. You need to hire a media buyer or learn media buying yourself. You need to build a creative production system. You need to find editors. You need to source UGC creators. You need to learn how to use these AI tools. You need to write the scripts. You need to manage the iteration process. You need to build out landing pages for different stages of awareness. You need to be doing CRO on your website. You need to set up your Klaviyo flows, your post-purchase sequences, your campaign calendar, your segmentation, your deliverability. You need to audit your P&L. You need to find a fractional CFO. You need to negotiate with suppliers. And you need to do all of that while also running your own business, managing your team, handling supply chain, and everything else that comes with being a brand owner. That path works, but it takes a long time and a lot of trial and error. Option two is you let us do it for you. At Hays, we come in and build this entire system for your business. The ads, the creative production, the landing pages, the email marketing, everything. We've done this for dozens and dozens of brands that were stuck at 7 figures, and we've helped them break through $10 million per year and beyond. We're not just running ads and sending you a report. We're in your P&L. We're optimizing your offers. We're building your creative pipeline. We're making sure that every dollar you spend is driving profitable growth. So if you want to have a conversation about your brand and see if there's a fit, I'll leave the link below this video where you can book a call directly with us. We'll go through where you are right now now, what's holding you back, and what you need to scale to the next level. And even if we don't work together, you'll walk away from that call with a clear picture of what you need to do next. I hope you found this video valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.